Michelli Ramon,
And
and
I'm Kat
this is
Widder.
the lovely Kat Widder. And this is part 2 of our Alamo Heights Wellness Breaking the Silence installment. Did I get all the words in there?
You sure did. This is
Good.
Michelli and Kat Chat.
The Michelli and Kat Chat.
Yes.
They're
We
adorable.
we thought we would meet again and kind of address some new needs
Yeah,
and talk about some things that have come up in the last couple of weeks
right.
because it's ever changing.
Right. And so the people that have been on our minds, particularly this week, have been teachers. We,
Absolutely.
we've been thinking a lot about teachers.
Yes, and I can speak for the teachers that I work with in my district that are working tirelessly. They are doing online classes, meeting with students, which is fantastic. But I think one of the things we've talked about that comes up frequently is they are running out of things to say to the students.
Right. Right.
Um, because I feel like all the people I've talked to were all in the same place of apathy. Like we had a lot of energy in the beginning of, okay, we're going to tackle these new things and learn new skills and learn new technology, get our classrooms going, all that. And now I really feel like we've all hit a wall of
Yeah.
just, I can't do this anymore.
No more. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And so, yeah, so teacher, Kat, do you think that, so we talked last week about the myth that online education is easier for students. That's a
Right.
myth, right? It's actually turning out to be harder. Do you think that that's true for teaching also? Do you think that the online teaching is more difficult?
Oh my gosh. I think I've heard both. I've heard, teachers really embracing this opportunity. Um, but I don't really believe it's any easier. I think when you can't interact with your students, I guess face to face, you can't on the fly meet with a student who comes in after class and says, "Hey, I didn't get this one last thing. Can you explain to me really quick before I go to my next class?" I think that makes it really challenging. And are the students reaching out when they do need help? I mean, I feel like that's a really big question that I have because
Right,
I have kids at home that I know probably aren't.
right.
They're reaching out only when I ask, and our teachers, we can't expect them to ask every single student they have, "How you
Right.
doing?"
Right.
Um,
How much of the inspiration of teachers comes from being face to face with students and that energy every day? And um, I think too, I wonder too if they're not grieving also. I mean, we're all grieving, right?
oh, we are. We're grieving what we've lost. We're also grieving what could be.
Yeah,
Um, and yes, there is that energy that comes from being in a classroom.
right.
It's indescribable. You can feel it when students get it.
Yeah,
And I'm not a teacher, but I can say the counseling piece for me has shifted.
for sure.
It's
Yeah, I
helped.
can say that for myself too. In my private practice, I love seeing the faces of my clients in this whole new telehealth thing, but nothing compares to being face to face with someone and being able to feel them. And so yeah, teachers are this is a whole new world for teachers. And not only are they being challenged to learn something new and create this whole online classroom, but also they're surviving a global crisis just like the rest of us, right?
Exactly. And I don't know that we are always addressing that for ourselves. I mean, as professionals, I know that I set up I think somebody called it a set the other day. So here's my set for Michelli and Cat Chat. But, I had to set up a space in my house that was separate from everything else because I was trying to do my job, my new homeschool job, just in the dining room. And
Right.
that wasn't working because I had no separate delineation between I'm a mom who is living in a pandemic with children, a husband, my mother lives with us. Like that's one part of me. And the other part of me is the wellness coordinator for Alamo Heights. And I was doing both of them at the same time in the dining room.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
crazy.
I had to separate and come in here. I don't know that everybody has the opportunity to do that. And
Right.
making that delineation is really hard sometimes, of like, I am living in a pandemic. I feel sad.
Right.
I feel scared.
Right.
And now I have to teach kids.
Right. And so the average teacher, right, is trying to figure all that out, plus teach 100 plus kids, whatever the subject matter is. Right. And I think too, like, we expect, or we rely on teachers to be positive and like chipper, right? And for me, I want to be positive. I want to look at the big picture of this, but also it sucks and I'm tired of it. And I think one thing that you and I have talked about is giving teachers permission, right?
Mhm.
To just say that this sucks, and to not have any comforting words for their students, and to not have to silver line it. I think you called it a pity party for one.
Yes, we, I think, are all entitled to have a pity party for one.
Right.
We can't expect ourselves to keep it together all the time.
No.
And I think right now, one of the conversations you and I had was exactly that. Like, we are the helpers trying to come up with the right thing to say, but how many times can I say to the same person, we're in this together. We're all experiencing the same thing. We're going to get through this. When I am at a place, because I'm on a roller coaster of emotion too, and I might be in a place where I'm like, are we? Like, I don't feel great about this. So it's okay to have a pity party for one. Just wallow for a minute, watch Netflix all day, eat ice cream in bed,
Right.
and then realize tomorrow I can get up and I can do it again. Yeah, I'll feel better. But sometimes I think we need to consider that as self-care, of
Right.
just shutting down for a little bit, because none of us have lived in a pandemic. Not one single person
Right.
has experienced this before.
But what I wonder is, can teachers do that? Can teachers decide, I'm just going to hunker down today and watch Netflix all day?
Right.
I think not, probably.
No,
And
not when they're supposed to be teaching.
no, right. I mean, talking with a friend who's a teacher, you're doing your classes during the day, then you're spending the rest of the day in the evening trying to set up for the next class and trying to figure out how to transfer this learning, how to translate it right into this sort of online thing. I just don't know. I think for teachers, self-care, we're going to have to be more creative for them, right? And then two, I don't know if you've turned on the TV, but when you look at the television, there's a lot of, or the news, there's a lot of this, like, children are going to be behind in academics and we're going to have an educational crisis. And I wonder too, like, how does that feel? How does that message feel for our teachers who right now are working really hard to make sure that kids um, stay engaged, right?
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because when I heard that, I've seen a lot of that. And again, I'm not a teacher. I'm a wellness coordinator. I'm a social worker. I'm a therapist. Um, I felt awful when I heard that. I felt this intense pressure,
Yeah.
and I'm not a teacher, but I felt this pressure of, oh my gosh, everyone's watching what we're doing right now. And are the kids going to be behind? And is that going to be my fault? So if I felt that way, how do teachers feel? But it isn't. I feel like I need to say it out loud. Everyone is doing the best that they can, and the education that our kids are getting right now is the best that they can get right now.
Right. Right. There's nothing else that's possible. And,
Correct.
I think, like, one thing that I could say to teachers, and that I think I would encourage everyone to say to teachers, is we've got your back. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I'll speak for me. I am committing to standing up for teachers
Hmm.
if and when those messages of failure increase. Right.
And I think there's so many more of us out there that have teachers' backs
Mhm.
than are being critical. I mean, if you look at social media, you can just see it's been flooded with hilarious memes of people saying, I've been a homeschool teacher for an hour. We need to give teachers raises. I can't do this. Like memes like that, just saying we are acknowledging just how hard this job is. And I think there's so many more of us out there that are in support of teachers. And I don't want them to think that we're being critical. Um,
I think I think those of us that are supportive of teachers, we need to get more vocal then. I mean, it's fine for you and I to talk about it, but what I haven't seen is a lot of social media or news related stuff talking about teachers as essential, and they're all still going, they're still working, right? They don't have, I think they're working probably even more than maybe they've ever worked before, in with this sort of crushing burden of making sure that every child gets what they need. And so maybe one of the things we can ask for is for the people, at least that we reach, the people that see our videos, to get behind teachers and be more vocal about that. So that I think teachers need to hear that, right? And teachers, they're not getting that connection that they're used to getting from students. They're also not getting the feedback that they're used to getting from their peers and their bosses. And so who's telling them that they're doing a great job?
right. And I think one of the things I want to say, like, publicly, is how proud I am of so many teachers that I know personally that would actually refer to themselves as like technology dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they are on Google Meet doing classes, and they are doing all these things that they never thought they would do. And they've learned it, and they learned it quickly, and they're killing it. And I'm so proud, because that is not easy. And I feel like we need to be giving them kudos for that too. Because once you've been teaching or doing any job for a period of time, you get accustomed to it. You have your rhythm, it gets really comfortable. And it's not like we get complacent, but I think we just get really comfortable. And then all of a sudden, we're in the midst of a pandemic, and we're saying all those comforts that you had with your job are gone. And you have to learn all new things for
Right.
how to do your job. And they're all doing that.
And they do it overnight.
Right, right. While worrying about their own health and the health of their family too. And I think, I was thinking about just caretakers in general, because for most of my career, I have referred to caretakers as not just a nurse or a doctor, but for me, caretakers are nurses and doctors, but they're also social workers, therapists. I always put teachers into the category of caretakers. I throw in hairdressers as caretakers, because we all know they are our personal therapists. As I'm getting my hair cut, I'm telling my person my whole life story, right? And she's giving me great advice too. And so I think one of the things that we need to probably address too is that caretakers naturally want to give love and strength and words of wisdom and hope. But we're struggling right now.
We are struggling.
All the caretakers are struggling, because I need somebody to give me those words too, because I'm having a hard time finding them sometimes, the words to say, we're going to be okay. We are going to be okay. But like I was talking about the balance, it's hard right now to be a caretaker working from home in a pandemic.
Right. You know what word comes to mind as you're saying all that is the word surrender. We're all having to do a lot of surrendering to the reality of what is. And if I think about teachers, and I think about, like, if I suddenly had to parent virtually, I'm trying to teach my children all these things, and I'm doing it on video, and then I have to let go of what they're going to do next, right? And so there's just a lot of surrendering. And I guess maybe that's one thing we can offer teachers is permission to surrender at the end of the day, right? To say to yourself, this is the best I could do today, and I'll start new tomorrow. I surrender.
Absolutely love that. Yes, surrender. We all have to do that. It's and boy, that's hard. I hear you say that word, I'm like, can I do that? I need to work on that.
I don't know if any of us can make a conscious choice to do it, to be honest. I think, like, when I think for myself, at times when I've really been able to let go or surrender, it's usually after I've been beat up pretty bad emotionally and mentally, which I think we're all there. So when I think about surrendering, for me at the end of the day, or for a teacher at the end of the day, I think about putting everything away, right? um, and taking a deep breath and doing whatever you do to get spiritually connected, right? And then just offering it, right? Like, I don't know how to surrender this, but I'm going to offer it to
Mhm.
the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, right? And just, I think, we have to. I don't want to wake up tomorrow with yesterday's burden, as a parent or a teacher.
Right. And when you said earlier, we don't quite know if teachers are able to have a pity party. I think rephrasing it as surrendering
Yeah.
is exactly a way that they can take care of themselves, to just surrender it. I put it out into the universe. I did what I could. I did the absolute best that I could with what I have right now. And now I'm just going to take care of myself so that I can do it again tomorrow. Um,
Right.
yeah.
I think it would be awesome, and if parents and teachers could just make an agreement or have a covenant that when this is all over, we're all just going to agree to assume the best in each other, and we're all going to agree that we all did the best we could, right? Like, teachers are going to say, parents, you did the best you did the best you could, let it go. And then we will say to teachers, you did the best you could, let it go. Right?
I, I call myself an eternal optimist, sometimes to the point that I annoy myself with, like, how, like, yes, it's gonna be great. But honestly, I feel as if I look at some bright spots in this whole horrible situation, and I think that's one of them. I've landed on, you know, my my neighborhood has come together in ways that, like, I didn't even know half these people in my neighborhood that I've lived in for 6 years. I
Right.
didn't even know half of them. And now I'm like talking to them on Facebook all the time and passing them on. No, I know them by name now, passing them on the street as we're walking way more than 6 feet apart, that kind of thing. But I feel really optimistic that there have been some very weird, unexpected, positive things that have come out of this entire situation. And so when you say, can we just have an agreement that we're going to believe the best in each other, I really feel like that is a possibility.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in too. I'm already there. I'm already thinking we're all doing the best we can. Sometimes just getting up and getting going is the best I could do, and I'm real proud of it.
If 2020 had a mantra, it would be, we're doing the best we can. But just like that, we're doing the best we
I can think
can.
of so many other mantras,
They're
and
not
I
appropriate. They're not appropriate.
really, no, they're not appropriate. No, but I really want everybody out there to watch the video of this sweet, totally adorable music teacher. I don't know if you've seen it, but she's like, I've decided to write a song about how it feels to shift to online teaching.
Oh,
And she
God.
starts off this song. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh my gosh, everyone has to watch it. And I'm not even going to tell you the punchline because it's hilarious. And maybe I'll try and tack it on to the end of our video because it's perfect. I feel like she's speaking my language. Because shifting to online teaching, shifting to online therapy, shifting to online connection is more than my brain can handle sometimes.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, did I ever think that connecting via the computer would bring me so much joy, where I see your face and I'm like, yay, hi, Michelli, I'm so happy to see you.
Wow.
I would much rather hug you.
Right. And hey, so this is for all the parents too. Like, how many times have you had a parent say, my kid is on their phone all the time and that's not real connection? Well, we're finding out actually it is. When
Oh
when
my
when you
gosh.
when you need to, I'm getting it from my computer.
My mind is blown right now.
I know, right? That's what I do.
Yeah, yeah. Um, for the gamers out there who
Right.
are on their games all day and they're like, yeah, I have friends, and
We
parents
all
are
roll
saying, but
our
they're
eyes.
not your friends. But they do talk. They do something, and sometimes they're talking about us as parents, but other times they're talking about the state of the world or, I gotta go because I gotta go to schoolwork. But
maybe next week we can explore the topic about virtual connection, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
how do we feel that and how do we get that?
absolutely.
And it makes me think too of like with my son's online learning. I'm appreciative when the teacher she does her classroom online. She records it for us. We can see it. That's awesome. But what he loves the most is the little personal messages that she puts in there. Like when he gets to see her cat in her house, or when she just records a little, blurb for him. I want to say that to teachers also, like, um, right now, it's also your time to teach kids, well, all of us really, but teachers have, I think, the most profound opportunity right now to teach kids about humanity, about our humanity, right? Like, look at
Mhm.
me, I'm in my house, I'm in my bed, here's my cat, I'm trying to teach you algebra.
You know, so my kids, we live in a different district, which is, controversial in and of itself. But I have seen this shift in my daughter because um, she's not one, school's never been her favorite, but she's not one to even have a desire to connect with her teachers. She will do the work, check that box, and move on, right?
Right.
But she has gotten several personal messages from one of her teachers about the work that she's turned in. And it is so meaningful to her, and shocked me, because she went out of her way to come and tell me that her teacher said this and messaged her privately on the Google Classroom, and it meant so much to her. And so I think it's important for our teachers to hear that from both of us, whether it's showing your humanity, that you're a human being, um, that you have a cat, that you have a dog, that you
Right.
like to sit outside and teach, or even being able to reach out and just give a few little sentences to a student that maybe you wouldn't normally talk to. It goes a long way. And I feel like it was this whole transition for her where she's even more engaged now because that teacher did that for her.
It takes me back to our conversation last week about values, right? And thinking about, for teachers, what do you want your kids to remember about your classroom when this is all over? How the content, of course, is important, but I think more than anything, right, kids will remember how they felt. I mean, that's kind of cliche, but it's cliche because it's true, right? Like, people remember how you made them feel.
exactly. And they remember the little things. The students are going to remember the little things, like, wow, one of my teachers looked like a full-time gamer, because they were wearing a headset with a microphone. I heard a teacher say that. They'll remember things like that, like, because it really changes the student's whole thought process about that teacher as a person.
Right.
um, Amusing as it might be, it's also like, oh, like, she's a real person.
Do you think it's like when you accidentally bump into your teacher at the grocery store? Remember when you were a kid and you saw your teacher at the grocery store and it was so disgusting because you never thought of them as a human? And now all these kids are getting to look inside the lives of teachers and, whatever's happening wherever they're teaching from. So that's fun.
Right. Well, and teachers are, especially for our little ones, teachers are on a pedestal. They are almost not real. And so when you are little and you saw them in the grocery store, it was almost like, wait, they buy food? Like,
Hey,
they go to
Pete.
Target? um, it makes them real. And so seeing their teachers in their own home makes them real. On so many different levels, which can go a long way. But I think, you know, we just need to make sure our teachers are taking care of themselves, because they're taking care of so many people right now.
Right. Like, I've got my kids, but they've got their kids plus the 100 kids on their roster, or even the 20 kids on their roster. Whatever it is, it's, just as you were saying that about the humanity of teachers, I felt myself want to cry, you know, just to say, like, we can't forget that they're real people. and and this is an incredible burden that we have placed on teachers. Do everything you used to do it really well, and do it from an entirely new setting that you had to learn overnight,
And you
basically.
know what's really, really cool is that the majority of responses I hear from teachers is that they don't see this as a burden. Like,
Wow.
that is, like, I literally just got goosebumps. That is so amazing to me because they really don't see it as a burden. They love teaching so much that they're willing to learn all this new technology, learn about Google Meet or Zoom or all this, run a classroom virtually. They're willing to do all of that, and they don't see it as a burden.
Yeah, I think that can take us right into the conversation about mental health for teachers, because I think um, typically, generally speaking, teachers are givers, right? They're helpers. And the fact that they don't see, so many of them don't see this as a burden, or feel it as a burden and are willing to do it anyway, I think that just speaks to how much teachers are programmed to give,
Mm.
right? To give. I've never met a teacher whose job ended at 3:30 in the afternoon,
Oh,
right?
no. I feel like their job is never ending.
Right, right. And so I think, so let's, can we talk about some red flags for their mental health maybe, and some things that teachers should be pausing
Yeah.
to consider?
I also think when we talk about these mental health red flags, I think I just want to also make a point to say this is for everybody, you know,
For
with
me,
and me too.
this makes
Um,
it easier for us.
yes, because um, this this whole world that we're living in right now is really setting all of us up to struggle with some mental health issues that maybe we didn't have before.
For sure.
But we need to also say that if there were mental health struggles present, they're going to worsen if they haven't already. And so just to
Purpose.
be aware of that. But so a couple of things to be aware of in yourself as a teacher or your own children or students is a change in sleep habits. I'm I say that and I'm like, oh, I'm talking totally about myself. Like my sleep
Yeah,
habits have completely changed.
same.
Um,
I'm going to bed way later and waking up way later.
Absolutely. But I guess in terms of red flags, we're talking more like sleeping all day, not getting out of bed, not sleeping at all.
Not sleeping at all is the one
Right,
I worry about, mostly for teachers, right?
right,
Mhm.
right.
So,
Um,
and sleep is a critical component of mental health. It's one that we don't get to talk about a lot, but sleep is the body's clock, right? And so really, I think all of us, especially teachers, making sleep a priority. Don't underestimate its ability to impact you. And what does that mean to make it a priority, right? Like, have your set bedtime, have your set wake up time, but also, like, I'm not opposed to sleep aids if it helps you, whether they're herbal or medicinal or calling your doctor. We cannot mess up our sleep for too long, too much.
right. It makes us, it, it really puts you in a position where you cannot cope with your emotions as well. Even a couple hours less sleep for me, and I'm crying at a McDonald's commercial. You know, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why is that happening to me? It's because I'm like super tired and I can't control my emotions as well. But I think when you were saying surrendering, that's that's a perfect lead into that. Like surrender, be done with your job for the day,
Right.
shift to parenting when you're done teaching for
Gross.
um, hey, why don't you cook? Oh wait,
What a gift.
no, like we're so done with cooking.
What a gift. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't cook
You know
more
what?
than
So, like, part of the one of the characteristic things of this COVID mood for me is apathy. Like,
Mhm.
I feel myself just kind of detached from some emotional things. And I want to tell teachers too that if they're experiencing that, if they're feeling like, I don't care about any of these students or this classroom, permission to feel that way, like, permission granted.
Right, because I don't believe it's going to be like that forever.
Mhm.
It is really just a result of what's happening.
Right.
currently. Another red flag, and I chuckle about this because, oh my gosh, change in eating habits. Uh, yeah. So how
Yeah,
many
it's
of us
basically
are,
describing my life right now.
yeah, how many of us are eating our feelings?
Yeah.
Totally eating my feelings. Um, but again, it's the spectrum, right? It's eating too much, eating because we're bored, um, standing in front of the open refrigerator for like 10 minutes
30.
trying to find something just because I'm bored, but then also not eating, not getting the nutrition we need.
Because
So being
all
aware of that.
right. And I wonder too, like as parents, I know, and as teachers too, we're eating right now, we're in survival mode. So we're eating in survival mode. And that's never a good place to work from, right? So one of the things I'm telling my clients is I'm asking my clients to think about comfort food. And comfort food, sure, it can be ice cream and high fat content stuff, but comfort food can also be soup and hot tea and something special that your mom used to make. And so really just want to encourage everyone, and teachers and people in general, to put yourself on a comfort food diet right now,
Mhm.
right? Only eat things that make you feel good and nurtured.
Right. But then I also have to say the flip side is make sure you're doing some things like, because if you're like, if your comfort food is, I don't know, like pasta, and you're eating pasta 3 times a day, we also do want to take care of ourselves on the flip side of that too.
Right? Like if your comfort food is a
Chocolate.
hamburger and a beer, dial it back. Dial it back.
um, so I also wanted to say a red flag too, which I've seen this actually in quite a few people is living in a constant state of fear.
Yes.
But it's fear for myself or maybe fear for others as well, or both. Um, there's lots of ways to try to combat that. The first one I want to say is please don't watch a lot of news.
Yeah.
Please limit the news that you're watching to very short increments.
But I
You
can't
know,
help it, Kat. I can't help it.
I know. I'm on the flip side. I'm like, I'll avoid it and I get it by osmosis. I get people telling me things. I'm like, okay, that's good to know. But right, we watching the news like 8 hours a day, or as a teacher, teaching all day, grading things, and then sitting down and watching news for like 3 hours before bed. That's not good for your mental health.
I know. And I know you're right, but I come from the generation of Night of the Walking Dead, or and I think that people always on those movies, Kat, the downfall is that they weren't watching the news. So I want to make sure if
Right.
there's an apocalypse happening that I am tuned into CNN. But no, but you're totally right. I can turn it off. I can at least limit it maybe to like half an hour or something every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can get the basics of what you need. But if you are living in a constant state of fear, that's where we have to be concerned that, limits, just limits,
Well,
healthy balance.
sure. And check this out, right? There's a physiology to living in a constant state of
Mhm.
fear, right? When your mind starts to think, so your mind has one job, right? Keep you alive, right? And every system in your body aligns up with your mind, and they're all just trying to keep you alive. When your mind thinks that it's in danger, your body, every system in your body changes, right? It's like a mass email from your brain to every cell in your body. We go on high alert. The chemistry changes, the way our organs function change, and our thinking changes when we're in survival mode or when we're in fear. And I think that's really important to remind teachers that in the midst of all this, and all of us, right, our brains and our bodies are trying to protect us, right? Hence the disconnection from emotion, hence the exhaustion, hence the 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 cognitive the cognitive distortions that we're all kind of dealing with right now. Like students are going to fail and it's going to be all my fault. My son's not going to graduate from high school and that's going to be all my fault. We're going to go hungry and zombies are going to eat us. That's a cognitive distortion. In case you were
Yes.
wondering.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yep. We're not in a zombie apocalypse. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Not
fine.
yet. No, but I really am glad you brought up the physiology of it. Because when you're in the midst of it, I don't think you notice it.
Right.
When your whole brain chemistry, body chemistry, when all of that changes, you don't notice it. And you just keep going, but you're in this heightened state. And so saying it out loud right now, where we can, oh, I can be aware of that. If I detach a little bit from watching excessive amounts of news, I might feel my heart rate go down. I might feel a little bit more joy be able to get in. And then you have to actually put that in there too, that you need to get outside and walk around and exercise. I'm
Right.
not saying go to the HEB, because that, if you're fully anxious, going to HEB is probably going to send you over the edge. I just mean walk outside, take a walk around your neighborhood, just to get the blood flowing.
Right. I hate everything you're saying, but I know it's true. I like literally hate all of the words that are coming out of your mouth right now, but I know it's right. And this is something I can assure teachers about. Although it's very difficult right now to change how you're feeling, you can attend to your body. And depression, anxiety, all of that is very much in the body. It's very physical. So while you can't change your mindset, you can drink lots of water and you can get some sunlight and like our friend Dawn Hedgepeth just reminded me yesterday, self-care is cumulative, right? You may not see the benefits today of going for that walk or drinking so much water, but over time you will realize, wow, this really supported me, right?
Oh, that's such a good thing. Cumulative is so important because we are definitely a society of immediate gratification.
Yeah.
So if I feel like I should be drinking more water and getting vitamin D and I'm going to feel better, like I start today and I should be feeling it today. And that's not happening, like, oh, you mean I have to do it repeatedly? Yes. I mean, we have to do it repeatedly. And sometimes it's hard because, and I wanted to make sure I remember to say this, and this is a really good lead into it. Humans don't just like to be social, we need to be social.
Yeah.
So I might be more apt to take a walk if I can do it with my best friend.
For sure.
Right? Where it's like, or I can call up my neighbor and be like, hey, I'm going to take my walk. You ready to go? And then we can socialize. I don't feel like I'm exercising. That's not the focus. It's that I'm hanging out with this person I love. And that's the focus. And we can't do that. And so
Right.
this whole self-care, like I love to go exercise in classes. I am not an independent exercise person. That is the worst thing in the world to me.
I agree. Yes.
So a class, oh, absolutely. A class online,
Nope.
like, that's a fail. Because I'm in my living room. I can hear myself heaving as I'm as I'm exercising. The music isn't loud enough.
There's the refrigerator.
Right. The last time I exercised, by the way, my entire family sat there and watched. Can't even say it out loud. They sat and watched me. Like my kids sat on the couch, my husband was in the kitchen watching me, and my mom was watching me from behind the couch.
I can't even.
It was awful.
Oh my God.
Okay, that is not an exercise class.
That's bad.
But I kept going because I'm like, okay, there's people. It makes me feel a little bit better. Okay, I can do this. But doing these things independently by ourselves is really hard right now, but it is so good for us. So, when you said, I hate everything you're saying. Yeah, I hate what I'm saying too. But it is essential
Right.
for us to keep going.
Right. Well, and to the female brain, this is very interesting. To the female brain, connection with other women is akin to survival.
Mm-hmm.
That's science, right? So pause for a minute, guys. Let's just talk about women. Like, this is like dying for some women, right? So we got to remind our teachers, like, stay connected. It's funny. I'm thinking, like, I keep telling my teacher friends and clients, you guys got to stay connected. You guys got to stay connected. But maybe we should be the ones reaching out to them instead of waiting for them to ask for help.
No, and I think that's probably a really good place to kind of wrap things up. We should be. And I think a lot of times, especially when we're feeling depressed, a lot of us don't reach out. It is not in our bag of tricks to
No.
reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling.
Right.
Instead, we're waiting for somebody to reach out to us. And when they don't, it just kind of sends us even further down. And so I think that's important to remember. If I'm feeling crummy, maybe I should just try to reach out to somebody, because
Right.
chances are they're feeling crummy too. And
Right.
then we can both benefit from it.
Right. Let's just go ahead and agree that feeling crummy right now is a clue that you need to reach out to somebody, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
in my darkest moments, the people that were most helpful to me were the people that wouldn't stop reaching out, even if I didn't respond. Right. So up, so be,
Same.
I can be that person for one of our teachers, or many of our teachers. And the other thing I want to say, like, just kind of my message to teachers is like, listen, you are not responsible for the education of every kid in America. You're just not. You don't have to wear that burden. You don't have to take it on. We're all in this together. We're all responsible for the education that our kids get right now during this time. So please make that your mantra. I am not responsible for the education of all students in America.
Right. And I thought we were going to get through this video without the High School Musical song popping into my head, but you just did it. You
Why
just put
would
it
we
there.
want to? Why would we want that?
No,
Why
that's true. We're all in this together. So now it's in everyone's head. No, you're absolutely right. I think for me, I need reminders. So I'll probably have to put a Post-it note somewhere saying, when you feel crummy, call somebody,
yeah.
reach out to somebody, because I would sit around and wait. And you're right. In my darkest moments, those pushy people in my life were the ones who pulled me out, because
Right.
they were relentless.
Right.
They just kept calling and kept texting
Right.
and, how you
Every,
doing?
everyone out there, bother a teacher today. Like,
Yes,
blow up the
absolutely.
phone,
Yes.
relentlessly bother them and ask them if they're doing okay.
Send them a random meme. There's so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
I think, and actually, I've learned really truly what a meme is during this pandemic, because I don't think I really knew what it was before.
Oh, you're so cute. Look
I
at you.
know, I know. I think I actually know, and probably it's going to turn out, no, Kat, you're totally wrong. That's not
That's
what a
not a
meme is.
meme.
But anyway, um,
Okay.
Michelli, thank you so much for your time today and your knowledge. Michelli and Kat chat is so fun. I hope other
So
people
fun.
enjoy it.
Yeah. I'll see you same time next week.
Yes, yes, and we'll come up with a new topic. So
Okay. Cool.
we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.